Holy bleep. Caitlin Clark is the one. She is her. She's Neo freaking Skywalker, folks. And for her to come back after the game that she had previously with everything going on and have a game like this is absolutely insane.
Aggressive from the start and, miss a shot, came back, would make the next.
The biggest shock wasn't Indiana dropping 108 points on the defending champions. It was what happened after the final buzzer. Instead of making excuses, pointing fingers, or hiding behind the usual "we'll watch the film" routine, Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart did something nobody expected. They openly praised Caitlin Clark. Since when does a 20-point blowout end with a losing team sounding more impressed than frustrated? And what exactly did Clark do that earned that kind of respect from two of the biggest stars in the WNBA?
Caitlin Clark said, "I wasn't coming out of this game."
Caitlin, this might be a dumb question, so forgive me, but minutes restriction the last couple of nights, you got to 25 tonight. Was there any conversation about coming out of that game, or were you kind of like, don't even come near me?
Steph knows better than that. Trainers know better than that. They would get an earful. But I told Steph at halftime, I felt really good, and I didn't want to lose this game, and, hopefully I'm going to do everything I can tonight to take care of my body.
It is one thing to lose a basketball game. It is something entirely different to lose so convincingly that, by the time the microphones are placed in front of you, the only honest response left is admiration.
I put on a record-breaking performance tonight with 45 points and 10 assists. Right behind her, Kelsey Mitchell put up 30 points and Monique Billing put up 16. No other Fever player were in double digits. Both Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark combined put up 75 of Indiana's 110 points. On the other hand, all 5 Seattle Storm starters were in double digits, with Dom leading the way with 28 points and 14 rebounds. Both Johnson and Awafam had 6.
That was the strange and fascinating scene after the Indiana Fever dismantled the defending champion New York Liberty. The scoreboard read 108-88. But the real story was written in the reactions of two of the league's biggest stars.
Oh, baby, Caitlin Clark did some shit tonight. 45 points, 10 assists, 11 of 18 from the floor, 6 of 10 from 3, 17 of 19 from the free throw line. Caitlin Clark, 4 steals, 2 blocks. Bruh, we got vintage Iowa Hawkeyes. Caitlin.
Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart walked into their post-game interviews without excuses, without complaints, and without the familiar search for reasons why things went wrong. Instead, they did something that immediately caught the attention of the basketball world.
Can I interest you in that? From now on, Caitlin Clark, that's how you shoot. That's how you 11 for 18, 6 of 10 for 3, clutch 3 after clutch 3. After everybody been on her fucking back, she came back and showed y'all she's the motherfucking one. Excuse my language, but I gotta say it because she ain't gonna say it, so I'll say it for her. Balled out tonight.
They openly acknowledged that Caitlin Clark had simply been extraordinary, and in doing so, they may have delivered the loudest endorsement of Clark's greatness yet. The remarkable part was not simply that Indiana won. Championship teams lose games every season. Even the best eventually run into a hot opponent. What made this night unforgettable was who the Liberty were before the opening tip. They entered the matchup as defending champions, one of the league's most complete teams, and a group that had looked every bit like the standard everyone else was chasing. Those questions lasted only a few possessions. From the opening minutes, Clark looked less like a player returning from injury and more like someone who had been quietly storing up energy for the perfect statement game. Every possession seemed to carry another reminder of why opposing defenses spend entire scouting meetings discussing ways to contain her. She knocked down deep three-pointers that stretched defensive coverage far beyond its comfort zone. She threaded through impossible windows. She dictated the pace of the game as though she were reading tomorrow's game plan instead of reacting in real time. Her stat line alone would have impressed anyone, but statistics only captured part of the performance.
Was not coming out of that game. Quote, there was no way I was ever coming out of the game in the fourth quarter. Bravo. That's exactly the kind of fire and brimstone that Caitlin Clark should be bringing at the training staff and at Stephanie White. She knows how she feels. She knows her own body. If she feels like she can play, she needs to be like, I'm staying in this game. I'm playing. The team needs me. I'm going to go. I think that's all the exact kind of...
The feeling inside the arena was that Indiana's entire offense suddenly came alive simply because Clark was back orchestrating everything. Basketball has always rewarded players who force opponents to make impossible choices. Clark has turned that concept into an art form. The moment defenders step too close, she slips a pass to an open teammate. The instant they sag back to prevent a drive, she launches a shot from distances that still feel unnatural, even in an era increasingly defined by perimeter shooting. Watching New York attempt to solve that puzzle became one of the most fascinating parts of the evening because every adjustment seemed to create another problem somewhere else. That is precisely why Sabrina Ionescu's comments afterward carried so much weight. She did not pretend Clark's simply remarkable range, her ability to create space despite defensive pressure, and how impressive it was to watch her immediately return to elite form after missing games with injury. Coming from almost anyone else, those remarks would have sounded complimentary. Coming from Sabrina Ionescu, they meant considerably more. Ionescu has built her own reputation as one of basketball's premier long-range shooters.
They'd be out, but just proud of this group. I were down 8, I think, with 4 minutes to play. So just some true resiliency, but we got another one tomorrow. So this is great, but let's move on.
And the defense stepped up when it mattered. How are you guys able to get stops late?
Yeah, it was kind of an embarrassing performance on the defensive end, I'll be honest. So we really got to find a way to be better, and I think we can simplify a little bit, make it easier on ourselves. But like you said, we came up with big stops when we needed it, so proud of our group, got some big rebounds.
She understands the mechanics, confidence, and difficulty required to consistently make shots from well beyond the arc. When someone with that resume publicly praises another player's shooting ability, basketball fans know they are hearing an expert evaluate another expert. It was less like a rival offering polite comments and more like a master craftsman recognizing someone pushing the boundaries of the profession. Even more telling was the personal element woven into her response. Ionescu explained that she was genuinely happy to see Clark healthy again because the league is better when stars are available. That statement reflected a level of mutual respect that often gets overlooked amid social media arguments attempting to manufacture rivalries where very little actually exists. Fans frequently enjoy framing every matchup as personal conflict, but professional athletes usually recognize greatness long before the public fully appreciates it. Ionescu's comments revealed exactly that perspective. Brianna Stewart approached the conversation differently, yet somehow arrived at the same conclusion. Stewart could easily have focused entirely on New York's defensive mistakes or their inconsistent execution. Instead, she acknowledged that Indiana earned the victory through superior execution and relentless shot-making. Her honesty stood out because championship players are conditioned to analyze themselves first. Yet Stewart repeatedly emphasized what Indiana accomplished instead of dwelling exclusively on the Liberty's failures.
It could not be done. They said it was not possible. The haters all went on and on and on about how she can't do that. And I'll be real, she even proved me wrong a bit because I thought mentally she might be shot right now. I did say very clearly that rhythm ain't got nothing to do with minutes. And she proved that tonight because she was still in a minutes restriction. And she only played 29 minutes and had 4.
Perhaps the most memorable moment actually happened during the game itself. Clark launched one of her signature logo three-pointers, the kind of shot that leaves crowds frozen for a split second before exploding into celebration. Cameras briefly caught Stewart's reaction, and instead of frustration, there appeared to be genuine appreciation. She smiled, almost as if she recognized that everyone inside the building had just witnessed something extraordinary. Moments like that cannot be rehearsed. They happen instinctively when elite competitors recognize brilliance, even when it arrives at their own expense. Stewart later discussed New York's defensive breakdowns, but her explanation went beyond simple missed assignments. She acknowledged that Indiana punished every mistake by knocking down 17 three-pointers, a number that becomes almost impossible to overcome regardless of talent level. Yet hidden inside those comments was an important truth. Those open shots were not merely defensive lapses. They were the consequence of Clark's gravitational pull on the court. Basketball fans often borrow the word gravity from physics because no other term quite captures what certain superstars do to opposing defenses. Stephen Curry transformed the NBA by forcing defenders to pick him up several feet behind the three-point line. Clark creates a remarkably similar challenge in the WNBA. Defenders become so focused on preventing her next deep shot that passing lanes suddenly widen. Rotations arrive half a second late, help defenders hesitate, and shooters find themselves standing alone in corners they rarely occupy without heavy pressure.